Don't listen to him.
No, you strong, all right. We done seen you throwing up planets in the gym. Let's go. All right. Well, now that we're all on here, the topic we're going to talk about today, I actually had a good buddy of mine in Kenny's, Braden. He's in the Discord chat. He was going to come on. He is a blacksmith, i.e., a master of his craft when it comes to financial literacy topics as well. And the specialty that the niche of it, or the corner that he is in credit. And he was going to come on and put on a whole clinic. We're going to reschedule that for a different day because he got tied up. And he definitely is apologetic, but he is very excited to come on at a later date and teach that topic. But it doesn't mean we don't have a show. We got a show today. And so what we're going to talk about is a budget and can you afford it? And it's not just going to be a budget. I'm going to tie it into a lot of budgets are daisy chain different things. And on this show, what I want to do, we got one cammed up. We got two. Everybody's capable of miking up. So what I want to do is if anybody wants to chime in on this, we can all teach this one together. But without further ado, we're just going to go over the definition of a budget. So as you can see right here on my screen, y'all can see this, right? Y'all should be able to see this. So the definition of a budget is an estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about. And most people do not operate from a budget, and that is a fallacy. You should always operate from a budget or a spending plan, because if you don't know where every red cent is going, it's probably going out of your pocket. So to get started, let me throw this in here. I made a short the other day, right? And I was talking about Jordans. I don't know where it came from. It just hit me, so I looked it up. The average price of a pair of Jordans is about $200. And then I went back to Robinhood. Hold on. Let me see. Let me go to home. So see, if you're watching this later on YouTube, understand that these guys in this Discord chat, we do this stuff in real life. So it's not about like being these influencers where they get on the camera and they huge and they buff and they're ripped, and you never caught the journey to them getting that big. You don't even know if they know what they're talking about. But you see us in real life on camera. You see our portfolios. We show you the wins, the losses, the plateaus, all of that stuff. So it's something that you can trust in. So I went on Robinhood the other day, right? And I tracked this 5-year chart. Now, it IPO'd July of 2021, so it hasn't been around for 5 years yet. But look, it IPO'd like anything else, $38, went up to 55, sharp decline. Now, right about here, I think, the lowest I could find was 719. See that? So this is June 17th of 2022. If you were to put that $200 you spent on a pair of Jordans into Robinhood, watch this. Let's do some simple addition. Let me see if y'all can see my calculator. Yes, you can. So I always ask, can you see it? And I should know by now, yes, you can. But Discord, as soon as I click, I got two screens up. One is OBS recording the whole thing. And on this one, on my left screen, it's split. Discord's on the right. And then my internet screen is on the left. And so when the calculator comes up, it always blackens what I'm showing y'all on Discord. I hate that, but it does it. Anyway, so here's a calculator. Watch what I'm about to show you. If you'd have put that $200 divided by 719 into Robinhood on June 17th of 2022, it would have bought you 27.816 stocks, right? And we're going to use that whole number that it has right there. Now, Robinhood right now is sitting at $109.46. So remember 2781. We'll just use that. So what we're going to do, 109.46, and we're gonna subtract what you would have paid for each share, right? So you would have $102.27 worth of equity, right? Now, what were we multiplying it by? I think it was 27.816, something like that. Shares. You would have $2,844.74. Did I do that right? I did that right? Yeah. So right. So what this is this is for the your Robinhood portfolio, right? So now this is per Jordan. This is per pair of Jordans, right? So now watch what I'm about to do now. And this was the point of the video. If you go in your shoe closet, because some of us are sneakerheads, right? I want you to actually do this. I want you to do this. No harm, no foul. You ain't got to put it in chat if you don't want to, but you can use the chat if you want to during the live. Always read the chat when it pops up and shows me, right? Go in your closet and I want you to count how many pair of Jordans you have, because that's not 10 pairs of Jordans. Watch what I'm about to do now. Multiply by 10. That is a missed opportunity to have $28,447.42 worth of wealth growing overnight. He ain't late. The great, not yet late Warren Buffett said, if you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. The money is what you earn while you're awake with your 9 to 5. What my man Xavier is doing right now on the camera, he is earning money while he's awake. But his portfolio, which is what you see right here, is earning money. This is mine, but I'm saying the stock portfolio is earning while I sleep. You create wealth while you're asleep because it's invested. And if you never get to investing because your budget sucks, then you will always have to trade time for money. And so there is the grand scheme of what I talked about the other day. But to get to it, you need to know where every little red cent is going. Anybody got anything to say on that before we move on while I set up the next page? Y'all can mic up and y'all can share. Nah? All right. Then oh, y'all were waiting for each other. Okay, go ahead. We could go in order. Kenny, you want to go first?
Yeah, you first. Go
ahead. Somebody got to go. Kenny first. Okay, Kenny, go ahead.
I was saying you made a great point about Georgia closet. There's a lot of money that went down the drain, missed opportunity.
Appreciate that. Anybody else? All right. The last thing I'll say about that is the real issue with society today is we never think about that while we're young, right? We are walking right by these secret doors to these other realms or worlds that exist in finance and wealth creation. And even if you're talking about generational wealth, right? Who's thinking in their 20s, I'm going to create something so powerful that even my grandchildren will be able to eat off of it, live off of it, and never have to work hard a day in their life if they didn't want to. Not that you don't want them to have good work ethic, because you got to teach them that too, but that if they fell on hard times, they would still survive. Who thinks about that in their 20s? But you know what? That's when we have our most vigor. That's when we have our most fight. That's when we can work 16 hours a day. When we're 50, working 16 hours a day, we are taking it out of us. However, it's doable, right? But you need to be used to it by the time you're 50, right? The thing is, when we just limit ourselves to 5 days a week, 40 hours, our scope is so small on the possibilities and what could be, right? When we open it up to 60 hours, 80 hours, two jobs, or a side hustle that we go at like we want that to be our 9 to 5, then we start to see the world differently, right? We were having a conversation yesterday, and Kenny was actually in it. And I was like, hey, when you see a girl in some yoga pants and a t-shirt with headphones in jogging through a neighborhood, understand, what are you really looking at? Don't look at the girl and like what she looks like. Look at the girl and what she's doing, and then look at the neighborhood. If she's jogging past a neighborhood like that and she's not looking over her shoulder, looking left and right, now look at the neighborhood. Does it look safe? It probably looks safe, right? Is there a Starbucks near there? What does the neighborhood look like? Because you got parts of Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, all in New York that are being gentrified, and they're safer areas now, and they're being built up, and they're moving crime, and they're moving the residents who used to be there out. But what does that mean? I'm not dealing with that part. What does that mean for you? One man's trash is another man's treasure. So where they're losing and moving out because the prices are going up, real estate's going up. So when you learn to put on these different goggles, you can see the world that was invisible before, and you can jump in with a guy like Xavier right here, who is a contractor, right? Who is building up these areas, who's doing stuff like that, and you never know it because he's an aircraft mechanic by day. You never know it. But who knew he was doing this on the side, right? And so that's another thing we're gonna have to talk about is being friendly, right? The Bible says in order to have friends, one must first show himself to be friendly. And if you walking around with the RBF or the don't mess with me face or this is where I'm from, like I used to, right? You don't talk to anybody. And when you don't talk to anybody, these people walk right by you, and they could be a closet 100,000 there and you never know it. They could be financially set, don't even have to work another day in their life, and you would never know it, right? So let's get to the budget part, right?
Especially,
Go ahead. What's up?
especially, especially if you live in New York.
Hey,
You could be walking around any block in Brooklyn, and you'll have like a millionaire just walking right next to you. You don't even know it.
he's right. He's right. And actually, I think if I'm not wrong about this, New York actually has the most millionaires of any out of any state. And so what does that mean for you? When you just walk past everybody and you think I'm just minding my business. Okay, it says California has the highest millionaires, uh, while other states like New York and Texas also have large numbers of millionaires. But here's the thing: you could be walking right by business owners, 100,000aires, people whose net worth is two, 300,000. You don't realize how much money that is. That is life changing money. That's people who has it in IRAs. That's people who have it in real estate. That's people who have an LLC or S corp. You'll never know it, and so you got to be friendly. All right. So for this budget, what do we want to use? I don't want to use something that's unrealistic. 50 grand sound great. All right. I'm gonna say we all
60
in.
is the average salary.
Let's go with 60 then. 60. Pension, Social Security. Let's leave this one blank. Um, I think this is what you pay into it, but I don't really know. And let's say, what do we want for investments and savings a year? Or any of this stuff that y'all see on here, y'all can chime in on this. We're gonna do Build a Bear right now. We gonna do build and invest.
All right. So let's say if we want to at least keep up inflation 2 to 4%. So let's say we attempt to save 8% of that. Or you know what? We could go 5-6% matching. Are we doing like any of that?
Let me
Or are we
scroll
putting it
down.
aside ourselves?
Take it from what you can see on the screen because it's down at the bottom.
I'm on mobile and I'm holding a newborn.
Oh, my little niece. Yeah. All right. So here's the truth of it all, right? Most people don't do anything but save money. If they do anything with their money in terms of keeping it in their pockets, they don't do anything but save money. And the problem with saving money is that inflation is 3% a year on average. And you got two types of inflation. You've got natural inflation because eggs, bread, milk, gas, electricity, rent, those things naturally go up over time, and it's all over supply and demand, right? But then you have forced inflation. Forced inflation is this. You have a certain amount of currency already in circulation, right? Your dollar has a value. Let's say it's dollar for dollar. $1 equals 100 pennies, right? But then we put $10 million in circulation. Now that waters down your dollar now equals 99 cents. And then we do it again. Now your dollar equals 98 cents. Then we do it again. Now you're down to 97 cents. So that's forced inflation. And if you can't wrap your mind around that, watch this. If you ever drank Kool-Aid, right? Imagine a big pitcher of Kool-Aid, right? It's cherry flavored. You put the right amount of sugar, you take a sip, that's sweet cherry, right? Now dump it into a bathtub, a clean one. I'm just saying a big vat of water, like big like a bathtub, and just add water. After a while, once it's filled up, you take a cup, scoop out of there, and you drink. No cherry taste, no sugar. So after a while of you just saving money, that dollar has no more power, period. No more punch to it. And so you shouldn't be putting your money in a savings account. Now, remember, my advice is professional, but I'm not yet licensed, right? The least you should have is a high yield savings. Go ahead. You about to say something?
You just punched it right there, because banks sometimes don't even get on your money back when you put it in. So they're holding your money.
Hey, you're skipping.
Could go bankrupt and I'm skipping.
Yeah. Start over. Can you say it again?
So banks take your money and invest your money, and they might only give you 1% of that money back, if that. I've seen banks go even lower than that, where you don't even get a full percentage back on your savings accounts. And meanwhile, they're investing and if they should go bankrupt, when they are supposed to be regulated in, I'm trying to think, is it FDIC regular?
Yep, FDIC, yeah.
Sometimes they have defaulted on that agreement and no one's aware. So sometimes you don't even get your money back because they're not even holding the minimum required that to give you most folks their money back in reserve. So they're taking your money and investing, and they're giving you 0.5% or 1% back in a lot of cases.
Shit, a quarter of a
That's not
percent.
even keeping up with inflation.
Yeah.
They're not even keeping up with inflation, but they're growing more wealthy as the day goes on because you're putting your money with them instead of investing it yourself.
No, that's real. All. That's real. That is real. I'm putting all these numbers in here. I'm just gonna punch some random stuff, right? And I'm gonna show people why they need a budget. But we'll talk around the financial topics until I get this fully prepared. But I'm gonna tell you that is absolutely 100% true. In my opinion, right, my professional unlicensed opinion, the least you should have is an Acorns account, right? Because Acorns, you can store your money just like a savings account, but it takes it and invests it into the stock market. And you can say risky, you can say moderate, and you can say safe investments. Acorns will get you 7 to about 12% a year. I've had as little as 7, I've had as much as 12, and they average about, I think, 8%. is what it advertises, about 8% a year. And it's easy to get 10% a year growth because you can start investing your money yourself and just put it in the S&P 500, which is what do you call them? Financial advisors and people who manage portfolios for people. That's what they did with their money. So they got them 10% growth a year. Your IRAs get 10% growth a year because they just follow the S&P 500 stocks, right? But if you, so 10% growth a year is pretty good, right? It's been always a pretty good measurement. And 10% growth is really all you need. But with that 10%, what you're going to also need is time for it to compound. And that's where we miss it. We start investing at 40 or 50 years old when it becomes important to us and Jordans no longer matter. And we don't have the time to catch up. And that's the problem, right? So in order to do it, you can't do 10% a year, but you keep dumping into your retirement, but you take some excess money that you would have now spent on them Jordans and you do it. We just did on the calculator. You multiply it by 10. That's what you need to be putting into the stock market, into long hold stocks. And don't worry about in the short term if it goes up or down. Over time it's going to go up. Watch what we're in the end of August right now, right? Statistically, August is bad for the market. And August is only bad for the market because July is the best month for the market, bar none. July, it skyrockets. So if July is the pinnacle, then August obviously is going to have to come down some. And then September is the bottom of the market. So between 3 months, July is the top of the market. September is historically the bottom of the market. So we're about to hit the best spot for people who've been saving money and want to invest it. We're about to hit the best month that you could possibly get the best spot to buy in the market at. And the crazy thing is, what people would rather do is in December and January, which is great for the market, while they're spending on holidays and Christmas and stuff, they got blinders on as to the stock market, what's going on in the stock market. But December and January are phenomenal for the stock market because people are spending money on Jordans, right? People are buying toys. People are going into Target and they're seeing all the red 20% off, 25% off sales and all that kind of stuff. And they just throwing it in the basket, right? Spending all their money on stuff that doesn't matter, right? Now, watch this. So January is the carryover from December because now everything that was on sale for Christmas now goes on even larger of even more of a sale. Why? Because it's seasonal, so they have to get rid of it and get it off the shelves to get the stuff for spring and Easter on the shelves, right? It's all a game. But when you just walk around with your regular goggles on, seeing the world on the surface level and you don't peel back the onion 2 or 3 or 4 layers deeper, you don't know this, right? So now you skip February and March, and April is another great month for the market. Why? Because of income tax returns. And you know what most people do. Let's go buy Jordans. Let me stop beating up on the people who buy shoes, man. It's not all about Jordans. I just use something that I thought people could relate to. Some people are buying Versace and putting it on the floor, Bruno Mars. Some people are buying Lululemon. Some people can't buy a sneaker unless it's Nike. Some people do the dumb thing. And hey, Xavier, what kind of car do you have? If it's a Ferrari, don't out yourself.
No, come on. So my Vita, I have 2 cars, and I try not to go European or American because of the quality. But I drive a 2008 Nissan Rogue, which is almost on the ground for me. I'm driving this until it just dies. And then I have a 2014 Honda Odyssey.
Okay, so you have an 11-year-old car and you have a good God Almighty. You got like a 15-year-old car.
More than that, I think.
I did. I probably botched the math. 16-year-old car. What's And is your net worth positive? You ain't got to say what you think it is. Is it positive? Minus
yeah, it's a
minus
little bit
real
positive.
estate and stuff.
Tell you the truth. So right now, because of my, it just hit positive not long ago. So I'm still building it up, but
But you're on your way.
I'm on my way, and most of my money is tied up with real estate, especially Dominican Republic, because I have family out there. My dad's about to retire, and he wants to go retire in Dominican Republic, so we're building out there for him. My mom is in the same boat. We're building out there for her, and at the same time, I am building for myself because I also want to retire back to Dominican Republic, and at the same time, I'm trying to build up here so I could have some residual income coming in by the time I retire.
Okay. So, and hence my point, right? That's why I said minus real estate, because minus your real estate, you probably are. But you have to pay into real estate and you go in more debt. Like I bought this. This is my master bedroom. Actually, this is studio part of. I just made my wife and I made it a studio, right? So I have no overhead for studio costs. I just walk up my stairs right here, and I'm in my studio portion, right? So the house I bought was 680. I think we owe like 620 on it, and now it's worth like 740, 750, right? So there's some equity, but because of that, the 620 we still owe is gonna make my net worth negative. You know what I mean? But my stock portfolio is a big boost and stuff like that. But you do your assets minus your debt, you're sitting pretty. And my point is this: I'm reading The Millionaire Next Door right now, right? And it's probably a little older of a book, but The Millionaire Next Door explicitly points out the fact that most millionaires, 80% of them, are new generation. They earned it themselves. It wasn't mama and daddy's money. It wasn't grandpa, nene and them. It was them. They built that wealth for themselves. And also, they do not own the current model, the current year's model car. So their cars aren't new. They're like 5 to 8 years old. And you just kind of proved my point with a 11-year-old car and a 16-year-old car. And I'll weigh in on this, right? I have a Model 3. Plus, I see too many of these Model 3s on the road. Everybody ain't earning what they need to be earning to be driving. That's a middle class car. Most people ain't middle class. Let's be real. And I'm not even popping my collar. That's an 18 sitting in my garage. It's 2025. That's 7 years old. But here's the thing: I got it when it was 4 years old, and I only have it because I commute from an hour away, right? So there's a use case for it, and I have solar panels on the house that helps with my electricity, right? So it kind of makes sense for me to have it. Otherwise, I'd have a turbo diesel, so I wouldn't be spending that much money in gas, right? I don't need a big block V8, scat pack, all that kind of stuff. That is a waste of money, and that's why I went in the car. Some people spend their money that they should be investing on cars. And that's just stupid to me because it's short sighted. It's short sighted because a car is an asset. You can slap a dollar value on that car. You can go to Kelly's Blue Book, you can go to Edwards. And if you know somebody who works in a dealership, which I want to get somebody who works in a dealership to come and put a clinic on about car buying, they have what's called the Black Book, right? And for each used car, for each month, each day, each year, it will tell you what that car is worth. It'll actually have the rate of depreciation per day for your car. So a Jeep Wrangler might lose $2 a day in depreciation, whereas a Maserati might lose like $20 a day depreciation. The crazy thing about a Maserati, everybody wants a fancy Italian car because of the name, right? Whether they're chasing girls or whatever. And I've heard this stupid mentality of, well, no one's going to see what I live, but everybody's going to see what I drive. Now, I would totally be game with that if everybody who saw it was dropping $5 in your account to help you pay for it. If they ain't doing that, I ain't buying the car for everybody. I'm buying it for me, which you're on that same wavelength. Maserati, you can buy it brand new for like $84,000, $81,000, depending on the model, right? 3 years later with 30,000 miles, you can get it for 33 grand. That car depreciates like no other. That car is not a good car, but people want it because of the name. It's strange how a Nike check will make you pay 50% more for a good pair of sneakers that you wouldn't have paid if it didn't have the Nike check. It's strange how that little L with the circle around it adds 10,000 to 15,000 more dollars to the car's final price. But we do it anyway. We do it anyway because it's name recognition, and we care nothing about what's in our accounts. So, and that brings me to it all matters. It's all daisy chained to each other. So I appreciate you being an example there. Oh, I've got 3 cars. I got a 2013 Honda Civic Si, 6-speed manual. I had it since it was 4 years old. I got it December of 17 with like 57,000 miles on it, right? I got that Tesla December of 22. It was 4 years old. And I have a 16 Highlander. I got that December of 2021. It was 5 years old. I ain't buying a new car. It's just a waste of money. And so you actually proved my point. And I was telling them the other day when I first joined. Go ahead. You got it.
So, things about cars, I heard you mention that a car is an asset. So me, it really isn't, because once you walk into a dealership, you buy a brand new car. Once you drive it off the dealership, it goes down about 25 to 30% as soon as you drive it off of the dealer. You can't go and take it back 2 months later and expect to get most of your money back. No, you just lost 30% on that car.
Amen.
That's why I stay away from new cars. There is one way to make it into an asset, but that would imply you building a business around cars and renting them out to people like to Ubers, Lyft drivers. They're renting cars all the time. Or there's this app named Toro where you could rent your car for people, tourists that are visiting the areas and stuff like that. But to me, that's just a big headache, and the upkeep of maintenance on the cars is ridiculous right now. That's what I tried. I've never bought. The only time I bought a new car, the newest car I ever bought was in 2015, and I bought a 2013 Chrysler 300, which was the worst piece of crap I could have
Talk
ever
about
bought.
it.
And that's because I was in New York doing Uber, and I wanted a nice looking car to drive the passengers around, and that was a piece of crap. But yeah, I try to stay with used cars, especially the Japanese or Japanese and South Korean cars are very good right now to buy into if you're buying used cars. Their maintenance are dumb cheap, and they're almost guaranteed to last you a couple of years without giving you any issues, or let's say minor issues, brakes, oil changes, and stuff like that. But yeah, to me, cars are liabilities.
So we're saying the same thing. They are liabilities. I just mean like if you it truly, really and truly, it is an asset because your cars are paid off. But if you wanted a loan, you needed money, you could go to the bank and ask them to slap a lien against your car and they'll give you a loan with the value of the car. So you do count cars in the asset category because they have a value, but truly it is a liability because it's a depreciating asset that you pay for and there's no return on investment really for it. So yes, we're saying the same thing. I appreciate the nuance for it though.
Yep.
So let's look at our budget here. This guy's negative, but let's look at what we did. Let's scroll through this. We'll go through this really quickly. So We make 60 grand a year. The income tax, 28%. We'll do federal, state, local, all of that. Tax is 28%, right? So its take home is not 60. We got $1,400 in rental costs, $200 in insurance, $500 utilities is already adding up. $500 for a dumb car, $300 in insurance because you bought a dumb car. Let's say it's I don't know, a lightly used Scat Pack or something. I don't know. And you'd be lucky to get a car note at $500 nowadays with the APR. But this is why we're going to talk about credit and credit scores, because if you move your credit score 120 points, it'll change your life, because you would actually pay less for any loan with great credit. Insurance 300, gasoline 400. Maybe you live close to work with that big V8, big dumb V8. I said. I'm sorry, I'm beating up on some people, but there's a reason. I'm not trying to really come at people. So if you got a V8, just eat the meat, spit out the bone. I'm not coming at you. Auto mechanic, let's say you only do oil changes and a tire rotation per year. You got 500 in credit card. Food, clothing, 500, 600. Home supplies, you eat out, $500. Medical insurance. Now, let's say when you put all this on paper, this is what it actually is, and then you hit calculate, right? Look, you're at a net deficit. You're at a net deficit. Take that in now. Take that in. After tax, your net income is only $43,000, yet you are spending $76,000. Now, that might sound like a stretch, but this is why everybody needs a budget, because y'all mic up. Yes or no? Does this actually happen?
Oh, it happens all the time. Especially you get the young military men, and the first car they want to get is a Charger, a Camaro,
Talk about
something fancy.
Talk about it.
And then they wind up with a car payment they can't afford. Didn't realize that because they're under a certain age, their insurance is going to be through, because their likelihood of an accident is high, and they're living broke. And they can't afford the lifestyle that car was supposed to try to make them present like they had.
So how they paying for this?
Realistically,
Yep.
if they're going into debt, getting in trouble with their command, all types of issues.
No, how they
Losing
paying for it?
security clearances.
How do people actually pay for it? Like, what's the method they use?
Well, some folks are going to go and, unfortunately,
You cut out.
I've seen a lot of sailors. Seen a lot of sailors overdrawn it when they be federal.
Talk about it.
And then, someone resort to having to send them to Freedom Family Service Center to get new Marine Corps relief loan.
There you go. And the most common way they pay for it, other people's money. Y'all know what OPM stand for? I just told you. Other people's money. They get credit cards. That is not the way to use a credit card. The best way to use a credit card, and again, the blacksmith on this is going to teach a clinic on this. The way to use a credit card is pay it off at the end of the month. You don't use it for stuff you budgeted for anyway, your groceries, your gas. But again, it needs to be on a budget, right? If it's not on a
about that in the chat, by the way.
You did? Let me see.
Yeah.
Anyone who has credit cards, get one with cash back. Anything you can switch to it, do it, and automatically set to pay the full balance. Easy money back and credit score. There you go. The buy cars was for something else. The dumb stuff they do with their money. I know. But that's that. There you go. That's exactly what we're talking about right there. So Kenny's right. They do this all the time in the military. And you said it first. We all thinking the same thing. Like, the young folks get in trouble with this because they do not understand how the world works. Your goal is not to make your net worth negative. It's to make it positive. But in order to do that, you need to get, instead of the Scat Pack, you need to get a Nissan Versa. A Nissan Versa. 5 years old. That you maybe pay $100. My first car in the Navy, I paid $187 a month for it. Now, it was a long time ago, but the average car note then was about $300. See? So I was underneath that. Get a car that's $200 payment because it's so darn cheap. You get a $10,000 to $15,000 car. Maybe you have to take, maybe your credit sucks. You have to take a 20% APR on it. Cool. You pay that car, pay on it month by month by month. And your goal is to pay it off. Your goal is to just pay it off slowly over time, but you are stacking your money elsewhere. Your goal is not to buy some scat pack or some. Let me stop messing with the Dodge folk. What we got? What else we got out there? Tell me a different car. Supra.
Well, folks talk about Escalades.
There we go.
Let's talk about what's in popular music.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Then
Cadillac
Escalade,
grills.
Yeah. Yeah.
Check out the oil my Cadillac spills.
Mercedes-Benz.
There you go.
Big in Norfolk.
There you go.
And then throw some D's on it.
Those a blast from the past. Rich boy selling it. So look, so we see this all the time. And the way they pay for this lifestyle, because that's what it's all about, right? Our young people need to get off of social media and stay off of social media, because what's happening is it was worse than that. What I did, I don't know, y'all, it was on camera. You probably saw it. If you're on YouTube, just rewind it up. You see me. It was so atrocious. I had to go take vacations out. It was at $2,400 a year. I downsized some of this to make it make sense. But no, some people really are at this deficit in a year, and they'll never know it until 3 years from now, when the bills are just crushing them and they can't see a way out. And now they're looking for pity. But what you really need is, you should be looking for discipline. You should be looking for oversight of your own finances. And this is why I taught this series called The Basics. Everything people need to, in order to say they have their stuff together, you got your life together. You need the hard skills, soft skills, budget, paying yourself first, or investments, all about credit and time management. And you can too be a Jeff Bezos or a Roger Smith or Don Peebles. But this guy right here ain't gonna make it if they stay on this trajectory. He just will not make it. And so let's look at some. If anybody want to say something else on that before I move to the next topic, feel free. This is open mic day.
This is kind of a little bit off topic. Out in life insurance from parents, so many kids get their inheritance and then they wind up broke because they were given the money without being given the mindset on what to do with the money. So they spend it. And that's why they say, if you give how many years would it take?
You're cutting out real furiously here, but I think I can say what you're trying to say. You're saying if you
Go for it.
And I may put this on a T-shirt, but I love you. But money, mindset before money is basically what he said. If you give somebody the money before changing their mindset, they are inevitably going to be broke. It's going to be inevitable, and he is right. Most generational wealth is lost in the first 2 generations, because the people, grandpa earned it, gave it to his son, but the son saw part of his work ethic, and the son said, I'm going to work half as hard because he's got money. Got money. And you know it. Take it out, no, I'm just playing. So the son saw the dad work so hard to earn that money, and he said, ooh, because he's got money, I'll work half as hard because I can live off of this too and supplement my lifestyle. And then his son saw him only half in it, and he, I meant to cut out, saw him half in it, and so he worked half as hard as dad and said, he's got money. Money gone. Wealth is gone. And so the conversation I had yesterday, this is how the Rockefellers did it, right? And there's a great episode on Earn Your Leisure, one of the sub channels they used to have, Ash Cash in the Vault. There's this guy, there's 2 guys that call themselves 9 to 5 millionaire. There's a guy named Storm Leroy, who I'm going to talk about what he said. and there's a guy called Jamal King, and Make Real Estate Real, which is what I was telling Xavier about yesterday, and I'm gonna give you access to that course, right? So Storm Leroy said that the Rockefellers did this. He said, look, he said he was going to do it, but what the Rockefellers did was they and people like them. They do this a lot in Astoria, Queens, in New York. You know what I'm talking about. So what they do is they have all their assets get like a home given to each kid or something like that, and then they have the assets liquidated. And let's say the total liquidation is like, we're talking Rockefeller. So let's go back. Let's say $2 million. So now they say the kids can have up to 500. No, I'm sorry. Let me start all the way over. They have an irrevocable trust. So with trust, you got two types: revocable, which you can have control over and alter and stuff, and irrevocable, which a firm has control over, right? You don't even have control over it anymore. The firm works in your best interest with what you wrote in the trust. So they do an irrevocable trust. And now let's move. So now they die, and all of their assets, when they liquidate them, is $2 million. And in there, they can have a will, but the will can be tied up in probate court for 20 years, and you're going to spend a lot trying to get it, and people can argue over it in the family and whittle it down to nothing when you finally get anything. But if you have trusts, no one can say a thing. It comes over the top of the will, right? So the irrevocable trust, let's say when they liquidate everything, it was $2 million. They say the family can have $500,000. I got 5 kids, give each one $100,000 and lock that money up in mutual funds. And it gains an average of 10% a year, lock it up for 50 years. And we're just going to use a number, okay? Let's say after it opens up, it's $2.4 million. Well, they say, let the family have $500,000. They can disperse it however they want, whoever is the head of the family or something like that, and lock it back down. So now what did I say, 2.4 million? So now we're back down to 1.9 million. You lock that up for 50 years, mutual funds, 10% a year. I'm just throwing this out here, right? So now it opens up and it's 3.7. You let them have 500,000, takes it down to 3.2. Do you see what's happening here? You never, ever drain the pool. They can never drain the pot of money, and it only goes into the last surviving person of like that generation or whatever. So that person would have to re-up it and say, yep, I want this to keep going. And so they have to continue the trust. But the moment they stop, that money's gone. The moment they stop, that money's gone. And so if we want generational wealth, I believe like what he just said, you got to give them the mindset before you give them the money. You give them the money before the mindset. They may never get the mindset, but they got the money and the money's gone. Gone. It's going to be like, what's his name? Roadrunner, pum, 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 with his tongue, meep, gone. And that's going to be them off to Lululemon. What'd you say? Mercedes-Benz or Maybach or all of those? That's where they're going. The first thing they're going to get is a car. Guaranteed. They're going to floss and show you they got it. Their risk going to be iced up. Bank accounts, it's going to be winter is going to be in their bank accounts. Winter is coming. All right. So one of the ways we can stop ourselves from falling into this trap, because if you don't have a budget, you are going to, that's the first part, right? You can't even get to what we're about to do right now if you don't have a budget. But let's say somebody wants to start investing in an IRA. So an IRA can come in many different forms. So you have most popular 401k, right? You have a 403b that you usually get from working a state job, or federal, you have a thrift savings plan, a TSP. But the most common is 401k. They're all individual retirement accounts. They're all IRAs, but they just have different names. And so with IRAs is one of the most common ways. If you read Millionaire Next Door, you talk to people who have wealth, they'll tell you the easiest way they did it, or the what should I say, the most common way they did it was through their IRA. So let's say they're 30 years old. Now, here's another thing. Watch this calculator. You have to know this stuff exists. If once you find this calculator, look, this is calculator.net. Look, home, financial, retirement calculator. That's how you get to it. Me, I just start and have favorites because I pull this up all the time on these lives. Here's the next thing. What does it ask you? Your current age? Well, you know how old you are. How relevant is that? It's not relevant unless you go to the next line. What age do you want to retire? And you know what retirement is? Let's break that down. See, you got to start from the basics. You got to break this down to the molecule. Retirement is not like us in the military who are on active duty, who after 20 years can retire and draw a pension. Most jobs and careers do not pay pensions anymore. You have to be federal employment, sometimes state employment, or first responder. Teachers, they pay pensions, but most jobs / careers don't pay pensions anymore. So you got to stop telling your children, work a job 20 to, I don't know why they would sound like that, but work a job 20 to 40 years. Then you're going to retire, draw your pension and get Social Security. Or you work a job 20 years, you retire from that one, you work another job 20 years, then you get both pensions, and then you get Social Security, and that's a good life. First of all, Social Security is only contracted out to 2035 as of right now. That's 10 years from now. If you've got small children, they're not even going to be in the running for that before it's contracted to quit. So stop bringing old solutions for new problems. That was good advice for the 20s. And I mean 100-year ago 20s, for the 40s, for the 50s. No longer good advice. So retirement is actually how most people use it, the point at which one no longer works. You're telling our mother, for what? Tell her. What did I say? That's Curtis. That's my brother if I didn't say that. So he put in the chat, I'm telling our mother. She don't sound like Ja Rule, by the way, sir. I don't know what you're trying to say. So retirement, how most people use it, is the point at which one no longer wants to work, right? Over here, the blacksmiths in here know that retirement is the point at which one no longer has to work in order to sustain their lifestyle and survive. See that? And it's because if you view every dollar as an employee, you took your employees young as you were coming up and you put them to work. And the work they did made more employees to earn more money for you while you slept. So now you can stop working for money and trade time for money. And all those employees, you got employees everywhere around making you money enough to where you no longer have to go to a 9 to 5 and punch a clock and trade your time for money. Does that make sense? Anybody want to mic up and say anything at this point? Because I'll keep going. I got bars, financial bars. I'm a monster. No, I'm just playing. I'm gonna stop. All right. So the next thing it's asking you is, when do you plan on no longer working? Because that's the point where you need to be financially free. And if you're not, you're going to have to up this age. So let's say, what's a good age? Let's say 70. Because this person's starting late, right? Now, let's say they want to live the life expectancy and you want to go statistically here. You can take grandma, grandpa. If your parents ain't made it that long yet, take grandma, grandpa, or take statistics. In 2019, I haven't looked this up lately. I think it was 68.8 for a black man in America. And so that would mean me at 39, I have more days behind me than I do in front of me statistically, right? I'm not always going to be this charming looking, get my good side. So if I expect to live, we're not going to do me. We're going to say 85. They're going to live 15 years after they no longer want to work. Now, you said 60 grand was pre-tax income. the average. So we're going to use 60 grand. So let's say they get a current income increase of 3% a year. Most people don't even get that, but let's be generous and say 3% a year. What else do we know about 3% a year? That's the inflation rate per year. So guess what? You're not making any more money next year than you did last year, or this year than you did last year. Because you are on paper, but the buying power of your dollar is staying the same. The more you know, you would have to get at least a 3.5 or 4% increase on your money in order to beat inflation. Your paycheck is probably not going to outpace inflation. So most people think it's the job's responsibility to pay you what you need in order to thrive. No, it's your job to take what they're paying you and part it out to where you get the bare minimum that you need to survive, invest the rest, and buy your way out of this rat race. All right. So income needed after retirement. I don't know. Let's say out of 60 grand, let's go 2/3. Let's say you need 66% of that, about 40 grand to live after retirement. Your average investment return, let's give you 10%. Inflation rate is 3%. Other income after retirement, no pension, Social Security, we're not going to bet on that. And your current retirement savings, we'll leave them with the 30,000, and future retirement savings, let's put 0. This ain't going to look too great. All right, so you will need about $1.2 million at the age of 70 to retire. Based on your current plan, you will have about 1.36 million at 70, which exceeds what you need for retirement. Hold on, let me see. Did I mess this up? Current increase, what you will need after retirement, average investment, 10% a year. Your age now, you plan to retire. Oh, because I didn't go down here. Let's see. I said they were starting investing, so this should be 0. Sorry. We're going to get it. How can you save? Let's get this one. 0. Here we go. Now calculate. All right. So I'm screwing this up, but get what I'm saying. You're going to need money after retirement. If you plan to live 15 years after retirement, you should have started already. And 10% a year might not be enough. So you may have to put in maybe 15, 20% of your income in order to retire. I had another retirement. Oh, that's why. I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. Let me see. Is this the right one? Yeah, here we go. 30. Let's go 60. I needed the 401k. I'm sorry. That's where I thought I was. Let's do 10% contribution. Employee match. Let's say employee match is 3. The limit is 3. Expected retirement. That was my speaker. I'm going to turn this back on so I can hear y'all. Expected retirement age is 70. You expect to live to 85. Expected salary increase 3. Annual return of 10. And inflation rate 3. Okay, here we go. All right. So at the age of 70, your balance will be 3.8 million, which is equivalent to 1.16 million in purchasing power today. So it's showing you what you're going to have at the end and what you can live off of, right? Now, wouldn't everybody like to have 3.8 million worth of buying power saved up for the end of their life? Well, in order to do that, you just saw the numbers I had to put in. So if you're 30 and you don't earn 60 grand a year, you're only at 40, then you got to plug in your numbers and you got to see where you need to do work. So watch, if you're only at 40 grand, this is going to change this drastically. Calculate this. You're at 2.5 million, which is equivalent to 700. If you're at 30 and you're earning 20, this is getting dismal. But this is some people's reality. And over here, we're going to keep it real. You're at 1.2 million. And that's if your employee matches 3%. If they don't, let's go back to 0, to 60,000, right? You got to play with these numbers for your situation. See, you're at 3.7 if they don't match, right? If inflation kicks up to 4% a year, if you're only at a 7% a year annual return, look, it drops down to 1.8. So if you guys want to know how you can retire, then you got to plan for it. And we Google everything else. We Googled all the details of the Diddy trial. We Googled people's opinion on 100 men versus one gorilla. And that's why I made that short. What about 100 men's paycheck who do not invest versus one inflation? Inflation will rock them, sock them after 10 rounds or 10 years. You're going to have black eyes, bruised lips. You're going to have knots on your head because inflation is going to take your paycheck out. Anybody got anything to say on that one? So everything's daisy chained to it's the next topic, right? Everything's daisy chained. There's a so what after everything, right? So you need the mindset first, then you get the paycheck. Then how you use the paycheck is like this. So based on this calculator, this is what it looks like in real life, right? So your contribution of your salary is 10%. So if you want these numbers, 1.8 million when you retire, then that means you need to allocate 10% of your money, $6,000 right now. This is what you earn if this is you at 30. You need $6,000 going to your IRA every single year or in this year, right? And if your budget, now we got to backtrack. If your budget doesn't allow you to do that or you'll be in the negative, then what you need to do, and I think I got rid of that calculator. No, I didn't. It's right here. What you need to do is get in this budget calculator and cut some of these other fees out. Maybe you return that car, that Scat Pack, right? I'm going to keep beating up on the Dodge guys. That Scat Pack. What is it, 392? What is it, 362 with the little wheels on it? 392, something like that on the side. That's, I witnessed a couple second classes, E5s that I worked with on the Tripoli, right? This was probably 2 years ago. I witnessed them. I'm like, who is driving this Challenger with this 392 on the side? Who's driving this Charger with this 390? No, they were both Challengers, right? I'm like, I Googled, what is a 392? And it came up, I think I'm saying it right, 392. That thing is a big block V8, 6.2, I think, liter engine. I was like, what in... Dude, every time you hit the pedal to rev it at idle, you just $5 went out the tailpipe. What are you doing? And I was a chief at the time, so my salary goes way further than theirs. And people say, oh, well, they ain't got a wife, they ain't got no kids, they ain't got no, they also ain't got no investments. They ain't got no future when it comes to, I tell you what they ain't got. They ain't got no hope of retiring, but they do got work until you die vibes. So if you can't afford to invest that $6,000 a year, come back here into the budget calculator and you got to cut this auto loan out. If Netflix and chill is on here, where's entertainment? You got to drop this to zero, player. You can't afford to go watch no movies. And then another thing I don't see it have, I guess you would put it under entertainment, but it should say subscriptions because that's common, right? Subscriptions. Netflix is like $14.99 or $15.99. Disney costs money. Now, if you have T-Mobile, they pay for Netflix. I think the whole thing, right? But if you have Disney, AMC, you'd be surprised how many subscriptions people got going on, right? They all add up and they all go in here. You need the hobbies. Sorry, no remote control RC cars this month. Nope, sorry. Nope, you average 2 video games a month, new ones? Nope, beat the ones you have. They got replay value. Sorry. And maybe you need to turn those off. And here's a thought, because Xavier said he does this. He's doing this right now. Maybe, I say this all the time, right? Maybe you need a second job. Maybe you need to work overtime. 40 hours a week need to turn into 60 hours a week. What about 60 hours a week turn to 80 hours a week? Go ahead. Who's talking? Anybody? Okay. I heard something. Get rid of the dog. This needs to go to 0. Oh, gifts and donations. Can't afford it. 0. And it's going to hurt your cortisol, but you got to do it. Because if you want to earn that money on the IRA calculator, then you need to come back here to your butt. You reverse engineer this to your life right now. Folks, this is actionable advice, right? We're not just getting up here talking and communicating with y'all just to tell you something that doesn't work. It does work. Some people right now got in their IRA $500,000 and you got 5,872.41. I don't know where the number came from. I'm just saying, right? How did they get there? A couple years ago, my uncle, he's an electrical engineer, works for Texas Instruments, been there about 3 decades now. He's a manager in charge of hiring all kinds of stuff, right? A couple years ago, I say 5, 6, maybe up to 7 years ago, he told me he was going to work for another X amount of years because his son was going to graduate high school, my cousin, and he wanted to send him to a private college and give him the best education he could. And he's working on basketball and stuff. And he had about $700,000 saved for retirement. And you know what he said? He could retire right now and be good, but he wants to just ensure he get that cherry on top, that warm and fuzzy. And I asked him, how do you know you could retire right now? He said, because he calculated it. And my uncle is a very smart man. He's a very smart man. He was also in the Navy, sonar tech on subs for 8 years, right? So he's a veteran. So he got injured in the Navy and he gets VA money. I think it was like $2,000 a month, right? Untaxed money. So that's just free cash money, right?
VA money.
Because he does too. I ain't made it to the promised land yet. But you get what I'm saying? So like my uncle, he calculated it. He said, look, dude, I'm going to make this much in retirement. I'm going to make this much Social Security. I already get this much VA benefits. And he calculated it up. He said, I'll only need like 40,000 in retirement. My house is paid off. My cars are paid off. He was like Xavier. He had, what did he have? They don't even make it no more. I can't even remember. He had a Ford Explorer that was really old. In the car he was driving, you don't even hear it about it. What is it?
Talking about the Ford Excursion. The Ford Excursion.
No, he had an Explorer and he had some other car that they don't make anymore. I can't remember what it's called. What was it?
AAB. Saab.
Oh, Saab? No, it's man, I wish I could think of it. It's an American company, but yeah, you're right. They don't make Saab anymore. Nobody even knows what that is. It's like you know how they had like Mercury Cougar and stuff? It's like something like that, like a Mercury. They don't make it anymore. It's gonna come to me because I can see it. But it's a 4-door family sedan, but I think it's American made too, but they don't make it anymore. That's how old it is. So watch this. He said he only needed like 40 grand to live for the year because his house was paid off, his cars were paid off, and his kids were gonna be over 20, like 5 years old. And he said, let's say I wanted an extra 20 grand a year. Well, that's 700K right now. It's gonna go into like a mutual fund and they get like 10% a year. So the first year it's gonna make 70 grand. Let's say I needed 20 grand out of there to be good, just for the warm and fuzzy. When it makes that 70 grand, I can pull 20 grand out, but I take that other 50 and I've invested back into it, right? And I said, oh, wow. And so let's see what that looks like. So y'all, let's go visual learning because, you know, some of us are. Times 0.1, right? Did I say 70? I did. It's 7,000. No, am I bugging? What am I doing?
7,000 is 10% of 70.
Yeah, so what did I do wrong?
700,000.
Oh, yes. I put in 70,000? That's what I did wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. See, I'm fallible. So here we go. 70,000. I knew I was supposed to be right. So here we go. There's the first year's worth of earnings. Now, what he said is, let's say I need 20 grand. So we're going to deduct 20 grand. That's 50,000. Now, what he said is he's going to put the 50 grand back into the 700,000. There we go. I got it. That's 750,000. Now watch what happens. So now that 750,000 is more than last year. So that compounds. Now let's go 10% of this. So now it makes 75,000 next year. Isn't that more than what it was last year? It is. Let's say he needed 10,000. Because he only needed 10,000 the first year. He's going to pull 10. Now he's got an extra 20, right? So that's 65,000, right? Well, what are we going to do? He pulled 10. So 70. There we go. Now he's got 815,000. The number is still building every single year. He'll never drain the pot. He'll never drain it. It takes money to make money, but in order to make more, so this is what I'll leave off on it, and I'll open the mic up for anybody who wants to speak and give their closing thoughts on this, right? There's 3 types of mindsets out there, right? And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. We got a lot of new members in Discord, so I want to put this question out there, but I'm going to say anybody who's seen it before, do not answer this question. But I asked my Discord about 4 months ago, what would you do if somebody gave you $100,000? And there's 3 types of mindsets. And I won't get to them first. Let me tell you what most people said. I paid off my student loans, 30 grand. I pay off my credit cards, 20 grand. I pay off my car, 24 grand. And you know what they had left over? Not that much. Watch this. Let's do it. Let's do the math real quick. Visual learners. So move this mouse. So let's say 30 grand student loans, 24 grand stupid car, scat pack. I'm gonna keep beating up the Dodge guys. And then 20 grand was credit cards, right? Now you got $26,000 to invest. I would invest the rest. $26,000 out of 100. Out of 100. All right. And they don't see the problem with that because what? I'm debt free, right? So now watch this. That's the poor man's mindset. And I let them all say it before I told them the 3 mindsets. The poor man's mindset is the poor man always thinks that money is only for paying off debt. And so that's why they ran to pay off debt first. And they will get offended if you tell them that they got a poor man's mindset. Don't be offended. Have some self-awareness. You have a poor man's mindset. And if your net worth is in the toilet, understand that's why, because you got a poor man mindset, right? The middle class mindset thinks that money is for buying things, right? So they get 100 grand. Let's say you get a raise on the job, or you get a promotion and you run out and buy a Ferrari, you run out and buy a Porsche, you run out and buy some expensive car. Middle class mindset. You think extra money is for buying things. You have somebody left you an inheritance of $1 million. And instead of staying in your apartment, you buy a $500,000 house. Was that smart? Well, it's paid off and it's a big house. Did you need a big house? Did you get as much house as you needed? Or did you just waste $500,000? Well, it's going to appreciate, and you can rap to me all you want, but I'm going to show you why you'll never be rich. Because the rich man's mindset, Xavier, you froze. The rich man's mindset, what they would do, they know that money is not for paying debt. It's not, because most millionaires will keep debt because they know how to use debt. They know money is not for buying things because they don't buy huge homes, extravagant homes. They don't buy stupid car, scat pack, 392. What they do is they take that money and they use it to make more money. That's what they do. Money is for making more money. And so the man himself is poor because he has a middle class mindset in a poor man's body. So whenever he gets more money, his income tax return, I'm about to go cop the new J's. I don't know why they sound like that, but I'm about to go cop the new J's. I need me a South Pole. Hey, Xavier, back me up. I need the new Timbs, the new South Pole jacket. Let's go.
So the reason why I say shut when you mention J's is, I have a closet full of them. I have a closet full of them. I don't wear them. No, I don't wear them. But I do follow their value, and all my retros are not being worn. I can go into my closet and start selling J's for days and make my money back and plus a profit. Another thing that I also do is I buy them not brand new, but I do follow websites that they will sell you J's not too worn, and those are my everyday sneakers and stuff like that. But my retros are not being worn, and I have about a couple of grand sitting in my closet waiting for me to start selling.
And you know that though. You see how you said that?
Yeah,
You actually
that's
know that.
value, and he understands it.
There you go.
Same here.
Yeah.
There you go.
It took me a while to understand it. It took me a while to understand it, but once I did, I started stacking them and not wearing them.
There you go. Kenny, you had something?
No, I was agreeing with Zay.
See? So there you go. I will tell you, if I came to where you live, where you park, show me your living room and show me your closet. And if you got a separate one for shoes, show me those. I'll show you where most of your net worth is at. And most of it, any of those places, most of it's going to bring your net worth down. It ain't going to bring it up. And so that's what most people got to understand. Everybody's not doing what he's doing with the shoes, though. You see that? Everybody's not doing what he's doing. Most people buy them, don't even wear them, but they're not looking to sell them. They're hoarding them. They're hoarders. They want stuff, right? So that's what the middle class mindset will do to you. And I believe it or not, even poor people have it's not just because they're poor that they have a poor man's mindset. It's because they really have a middle class mindset, because everybody started from zero at 18, right? They had a middle class mindset, and that made them poor. Then they had to reduce themselves because they put themselves in debt to have the poor man's mindset, because now they have to pay it off. The problem is the more money they make, the more things they want. And so they keep getting more debt and keep getting lower. So now the poor man's mindset increases, right? The problem is they have to get rid of the middle class mindset. Look around your house. Everything you have is enough. You got a fridge, you got a microwave, you already bought the Ninja or the what do you call it? The air fryer. You have enough cooking utensils. You got enough TVs, right? You got one, you got enough. If you got to go upstairs to watch TV, then go upstairs to watch TV. You don't need two. You don't need two. And if you want stuff, you really got to have a couch or something. Go to these neighborhoods, right? And look for garage sales. They'll have a couch sitting out there for $100, $50. Go buy that one. If you got to have it, if you got to go to Jared, I'm just playing, that's jewelry. If you got to go to Jerome's or Ashley's or something, middle class mindset. That's stupid. So what's going to happen is you're just going to spend all your money. Look around your house and say, everything I have is enough. I'm not adding anything else to this house. It's going to put me in debt, right? Conversely, I'll show you what I told them, right? So let's go back to Robinhood, and I'm done. And I will let y'all mic up and weigh in on anything you want to. I don't have it anymore, so I can't show you that one, but where's search? So Orchid Island Capital. See, let me show you something. There's something in the stock market called, should we budget marriage? Wait, what now? You know where this is going? Oh, okay. I didn't know you dropped this in here. Here's a life clock I use. It counts down your projected time to live on Earth to the second, and you can set goals inside the app. You see that? This is actually the kind of, he was part of the conversation we had yesterday, right? Most people have these flat screen TVs, otherwise known as smartphones. but it makes them dumb. This is a supercomputer. This is a tool that has sub-tools in it. This is a catalyst to get to all of those tools. And Kenny just posted something great inside the app. That is part of planning, right? You could put the average life expectancy for whatever your culture is or whatever. I would say race, but we're all human. But you know what I'm getting at, your ethnicity, right? And where you live, right? And it'll count down to the second. And so that's the life expectancy you could put right here in your 401k calendar, your life expectancy, right? And that will help you plan. This thing has all kinds of tools in it. It's called apps, applications, right? And most of us don't even think, why are the most used applications on this supercomputer that could shut off the power grid in Arizona? Not that I would know anything about that. It can hack into the cameras and watch people or tap into the cameras legally and watch people walk in the streets of New York City on any corner. This thing is powerful. Can launch missiles, can control, not that I know anything about that, allegedly. Can control RC cars, what do you call it? Drones. This thing can drive vehicles if you set it up like that. Why do we only use Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Meta platforms, period, TikTok, and stuff like that? Why are the most used apps, and this thing tells you, this is an Android, right? Mightier than the iPhone, don't care what you say. This will tell you every Sunday at 9 or 10 a.m. your app usage. And why are the highest ones always YouTube? Why is it always Instagram? Why is it always TikTok? And I'll tell you why. Because we are addicted to entertainment in America. And the Blacksmith will tell you right now, perpetual entertainment is the end of a man's CMD, creativity, motivation, and drive. And you will never get anywhere in life being addicted to always being entertained. That's it. So now let's get back to this. Orchid Island Capital is selling at $7.15. This is called a REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. If you want to know more on this, I'm not going to teach a clinic on this right now. I made at least 2 videos there on YouTube, the Blacksmith Podcast, and the Discord playlist. And it's REITS, REITs, all about REITs. It's in there. REITs pay very high dividends, and they pay dividends monthly, right? And as you can see, I don't have it in my portfolio anymore, but you can see a dividend pending. I kept it long enough for it to see how many shares I had and for it to pay me a dividend. And then I sold it and I got something else that pays a higher dividend. But let me show you with $100,000 what you could do. So this REIT right here actually pays 20% dividends. That is insane in the membrane. Most companies do not pay a dividend. And if they do, big companies like Microsoft is like 0.001, 0.03, something like that. So it's negligible. But out of companies that do pay dividends, the average I looked up, it's about 3 to 5%. Well, this is 5 times that, right? 4 times that if you're talking 5%. This is at least 4 times that amount. So REITs, and look, it's cheap. So you can buy volume. So let me show you now with $100,000 what you could do with this. So what is it? $7.15. So divided by $7.15 would buy you 13,986 shares. This is shares. Now this stock right here pays 12 cents per share per month. I'll prove it to you. The quarterly dividend right here is 36 cents. Well, quarter, it's every 3 months, right? So divide that by 3, that's 12 cents, and that's 1 share, right? So watch this. Let's go back to it. So this pays 12 cents per. That's 13,000. So what you do is you multiply this by 0.12. You get $1,678.32. That would be your dividend for having almost 14,000 shares in a month. That would pull you $1,678 a month. Now watch this. Multiply that by 12, not 0.12, because now we're going months. And looky here. It would return to you in a year $20,139.86. So that's what I would do if somebody gave me $100,000. What if somebody lent you $100,000 for a year? Said you got to pay it all back in full on the 366th day. I need it back. You use their money to earn more money. Because if you went and you bought stuff with it, you can't pay them back, right? So if I put it that way, then they might think invest. So I said gave it to you, right? But we should create, hey, blacksmiths, there's enough of us in here. Let's make this happen. Let's make a game show where you lend somebody $100,000 a year and see what they do with it. But don't tell them until like season 6 so they don't get ahead of us, right? And see what they do with it. But look, off of $100,000, you could earn $20,000 by just buying every cent into Orchid Island Capital. By just buying that, it will give you this every single month. And you know what it does? It reinvests that $1,600 and something every month, so it buys you more shares. So if we took, where is it at? 1678? 1678 and divided that by 0.12 every month, it's buying you another. No. Yeah, I did that right. It's buying you another. No, I'm bugging. It's buying you more shares. I did that wrong. 1678, and it should be divided by 7.15. It's buying you another 234 shares every month, right? So it's compounding. That's what it's doing. And if you multiply that by 12 cents, it adds another $28. So it wouldn't be 1678 the second month. It'd be $28 more than that. So it'd be over $1,700 the second month that you're earning in dividends from this. And this is not a joke. This is not a gimmick. Let me show you the history of this so you can see it. Look, folks, I don't play games. Look, he got an app that's telling you how many seconds you got left on planet Earth. You ain't got time to waste. So look, right here, February 22nd of 2024, I bought 100 shares at $8.47. And look, in March, it paid me a $12 dividend, right? So then it reinvested the $12 at $8.78. It bought me 1.36 more shares. And then I didn't buy any more by April, so it gave me another $12, right? And then it invested that $12 at $8.53, got me another 1.4 shares. Now in May, it upped the dividend to $12.16. And it reinvested that, got me another 1.44. Reinvested again. Look, all the way up. Where did I buy more? Right here. Stop. September 6th. I saw the value in this. I had Earn. Earn is another REIT, but it was paying a little less than this one. It was paying 8 cents per share per month. This one was 12. So I bought more shares, right? It reinvested $12.87. So I bought 200 more. Now it's paying me $1,600, but from the 200, look, $65 a month. Now that goes up. Where are we at? I bought 7. No, that's buying 8. So now look, $68 a month at $8.70. Now it's buying me almost 8 shares a month on its own. It's compounding, right? This is what you should be doing with your money. I'm not done yet, though. Watch, I keep going up. I got bars. $5,700. I sold Earn right here this year. For $5,700, it put it all in the Orchid Island Capital. And look, it bought me 768 shares at $7.42. And now watch what happens to the dividend. The next dividend in May was $165. This is per month, right? And you may say, well, that's not a whole lot of passive income. Show me $1 the average person's making in passive income that they don't have to punch a clock for. Meaning they eat, sleep, defecate, Netflix, maybe chill or not, and they earn $1 in passive income. Show it to me. You can't. So moving on. So the 167 is buying 23 shares per month on its own. And as you can see, the 15, 15, 15, this is me dollar cost averaging. I'm putting 15 a week. I have it set up to automatically come out on a certain day of the week, Mondays, every week, $15. This is how you invest slowly over time where it's not breaking your pockets, folks. We do this in real life. So look, I used $702, bought 100 shares. And then at the end, it was paying me 187. That's going to be the dividend I get for August. But look, I sold it. Why did I sell it? Because I found something better. Let me show you this and I'm truly done. All right. And I'm going to let y'all mic up and give you closing thoughts. I found Yield Master Option Income Strategy ETF. It's a long name. I call it Misty because the ticker is MSTY. So I say Misty. I don't know if that's what they wanted, but they should have thought about it before they made the ticker. So this one, the dividends, I'm going to have to show you, but the dividend 30-day yield is 2.01. So instead of ORC, let's do Misty. I'm going to show you something. There's so much to teach, folks. Like, there's so much I didn't know at 18 years old, and I'm trying to pass this stuff on to y'all, man. So if you go to stock analysis, look at the dividend yield. It ain't 20%, it's 152%. And who knew this was a real thing? Yes, per one share, it's paying you $26.84 a year. Do you know how insane that is? Watch this. Your car depreciates in value like 10%, 5% a year. Your house appreciates 3%, 2% a year, probably on average for where you live. San Diego is a high-priced county, right? So maybe it appreciates 8 to 16%. That is insane versus the rest of the country's average, right? This is getting you 152% a year. That's numbers what I'm doing in the stock market from my own investing. So this is paying you more than you bought, more than you paid for a month. So watch this. Look at the dividend April 4th of 2024. It was paying you $4 per one share. $4 per, I would have loved to have been in it here, right? $4. Look at it. It's fluctuating, but look, it never drops below $1. Last month, it paid $1.18 per share. So watch this. I'm going to show you the history on this. I just found this. One of the guys in the chat, Dustin, he showed this to me. So I bought 20 shares on June 9th, my birthday, 39. All right, so $4.24 is what it cost me. I had 21.22 shares. $1.18 equals $24 in dividends. So I said, oh, this is real. So I got rid of another REIT I had, ARR, Armour Residential REIT. It paid 24 cents per share, but it was like $20 to buy. So more bang for your buck with this one. And that's that 7,100. I sold that, bought these many shares. I had like 369. Now look at the dividend it paid me last month. This month, August 1st, 428 for like 369 shares. So you know what I did? I dumped Orchid Island Capital for 11 grand. Here it is right here. And I bought an extra 584 shares. You're telling me that you'll pay me $1.18 on every one I buy? Not 12 cents? Oh, my corazón. So the dividend is about to pay me now, if we stay on that track, is going to be over $1,000. Do you know what that means? That's $12,000 in passive income that I can just go to sleep and wake up and I don't have to do anything extra, and that's going to earn me. Show me where you can do that out in planet Earth easily. You can't. So I'm done. This is why you need a budget. Let's summarize this. In order to invest, you gotta know where all your money is going, right? So in order to get to investing, you need to make sure because you're gonna retire one day, the point at which you no longer work. So that you first, before you get there, you need the IRA, right? But before you can get there and have money to invest and have the IRA, you gotta go back to the budget. That's the basic. You gotta have a budget, and you've got to plan and budget for your IRA, 10% for investing, or your money is finito. Anybody want to mic up and finish this out for us? Any questions, comments, concerns? Y'all been great. The show ran a little longer than. Oh, go ahead. I see the unmute.
Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, very, very valuable. Wow. Time.
Appreciate that.
Hey, as always, love the content. Your new folks should have seen some value in a lot of the things that you were, and they should be able to put that in a practical and applicable. So first of all, make a budget. Know how much money's coming in, know how much money is out. And if you need to shift some things so that you can actually afford.
You broke up, man. You cut out. We don't know what you said.
Oh, that sucks. Some people, in all honesty, have just never thought about a budget. And this is going to be their first. So, as simple as it sounds, that's adding a lot of value. Didn't even know to start. I know you also mentioned.
Hey, man, you might want to
And
come
not
off of
wrong.
Wi-Fi or go on Wi-Fi. Try that because your mic keeps cutting out. It's killing your
Yeah, no,
point.
I got to get my. No, I got to get my provider out. They're scheduled to be here anytime between 15 and 2 hours. Something going on with the signal. Can you hear me any better now?
We can hear you just fine when you're talking, but every 2 seconds it's cutting you out for 2 seconds.
It's cutting out.
Okay, even right now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't have a remedy for that. If you guys have not heard, the app is called Replit. Put it in the chat. It can design you web and programs.
He says
And
something
then it
about
compares
Replit. Get Replit.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Yeah, type it in the chat and I'll read it off before I end it. But yeah, it's cutting out everything you're saying, man. Xavier, did you want to holler at everybody or say anything before we end this one?
No, my thing is not really the investments. This is something that I'm starting out now to do. I'm more of a hustler. I'm always working. Whatever you guys know, construction mechanic, whatever it is, I'm there. Investment is something that I've started recently. I started trying to budget, and I started saving up for an emergency fund. This is stuff that I've learned recently because I come from my background is more farming and middle class people from the Caribbean, and I am technically first generation to come over to the States with my family. I came out here when I was 2 years old with my parents, and I just grew up with this poor mentality. My parents never showed me anything about finances because that was non-existent back then. Talking about early '90s. All I learned from them was hard work, and wherever you can make money, just be in it. They'll give you 100%, and try to, just survive. So this investing in stocks and investing, creating your portfolio, this is something new to me, and I'm just, little by little getting there. I got some bitcoins, I got some stocks, I have my thrift savings account with the base, and little by little we're getting there.
I like that you said that.
Anything you guys,
Go ahead.
yeah, anything you guys could. I'm always about learning, and this is something past my 30s. 35 is really when I started learning about finances and budgeting and having money set aside for an emergency and stuff like that. And I've been finding out about all these CD accounts that you could invest with your banks. So my right now my emergency fund, I have it into a CD account just because I am allowed to cancel it if I have an emergency and I could liquidate it real quick. And on the side, I am doing my own investments apart from my thrift savings account.
Your IRA.
So
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, my IRA. I have an IRA, the thrift savings plan. I have it at a risky account, which is doing good right now, from what I've known. And I'm just here to learn from you guys. You guys are the experts.
So I love that you said that because I think that's a lot of our backgrounds. I think you said, did you say your parents were middle class?
Oh, yeah. My mom was just straight up poor. My dad was a little bit more middle class because my dad's family had land and they were farmers. They had cattle and all that stuff in Dominican Republic, but they all gave that up to come to the states and try to get something better.
Let me ask you, does the DR have a middle class? Most places outside of America, you have the haves and the have nots. There's really no middle. Does the DR have a middle class?
There is a middle class, but we still consider them poor.
Ah,
It's just so and DR is more about classism. So you have the super rich families that control almost the whole country. Then you have the middle class that are the workers, and they are the ones uh, struggling to survive day to day. And then you have just a poor class that no one, they're just poor.
got
They
nothing.
have nothing to, yeah.
That
But I like to invest in Dominican Republic because Dominican Republic has a threshold. So let's say, for example, you buy a property in Dominican Republic and the property is worth 13 million pesos. For every million pesos is like $20,000 here in the States right now. But let's say you have this property is worth 13 million, you only pay taxes of the 3 million after the 10 million because there's a threshold. You don't pay taxes on up to $10 million worth of assets.
he ain't playing either. Can y'all see that? The dollar to the Dominican peso is 61.69. That
Yeah,
is nuts. Go ahead, go ahead. I didn't want
yeah,
to stop you. You got bars. You rapping right now.
yeah. So right now in DR, if you buy a property worth 13 million, you don't have to pay taxes on the first 10 million of that asset.
That's
You're only paying
crazy.
taxes of 3 million pesos, which is you're paying taxes on let's say $60,000. And land in DR, structures and all that stuff, it only goes up, never goes down. So this is what I'm liking about Dominican Republic right now. Over here, we're paying taxes of everything that your assets is worth.
You pay
That's here,
taxes
and if
on
you don't pay
breathing
your
air
taxes,
over here, man.
yeah, and if you don't pay your taxes, guess what? They're taking it away from you. You don't really own it.
That's right. That's right. You never own your house free and clear. And actually, that's what my brother is in business doing. You can see you may actually have some people who want to do business with you right here on the live and invest. But my brother, he specializes in looking at the county pages and seeing who's behind in taxes and trying to get that. This is the one I was telling you about yesterday. That's him, the one whose mic is cutting out.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
that site you shot me, I shot it to him this morning. But yeah, I
Oh,
love
okay.
the fact that you said that, man. That mindset is out there, especially in America. My parents did not grow up well to do, and they had the poor man's mindset. They were poor because they had the middle class mindset. So then they had to get the poor man's mindset to get out from under the debt. And it crushed them at one point in time. We lost our house and everything, and I had to move back to New York. We were in Georgia. So I don't want to repeat the mistakes of my past forefathers, right? So the way I do that is I took up investing. So,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right.
So that's where I'm at now. I'm just trying to invest more and more of my money uh, in the stocks and dividend payments and stuff like that. See, I'm trying to make residual income however I can make it.
There you
It could be
go.
rent income. It could be. Dividends is what it is right now.
And see, there's your extra money to invest if you're making money off of rentals and stuff like that. If you can already live off of what you're earning, let's say you earn 70 grand a year and your family is living great off of that, any of that other money that comes in, straight investment, and that you will be able to no longer work to have to support yourself a lot earlier than someone else. And that's what we're trying to teach over here. Curtis said some stuff. Let me read this off. So he was saying messing with Replit to make a trading bot. You can make a website and it'll log in the interface and user accounts. Y'all don't need Replit and trading bots. Y'all got the Blacksmith. It could be a web game, trading bot, study guide for a test. Oh, he's saying you can use it for a lot of stuff. An online shop for merch for your channel. So I might look into that for these t-shirts. Some people are using computers and phones for resumes, but it goes far beyond that. And then he said, if you lost your home to foreclosure or unpaid taxes, I can help you reclaim the money if there's any left over. So yes, one thing that he does that's important. If you lost your house to foreclosure and they sold it, then what they do is you're entitled to a portion of that money. So if they sold your house on below market value, it was worth 500,000. They sold it for 300,000, and let's say you owed 150 on it. There's $150, $1,000 worth of equity on that. What he's saying is you're entitled to some of that money, and he, with his company, can help you reclaim it. Most people don't know that. When the house sells on auction, they just walked away from it when it got foreclosed on. See, and so even there's a silver lining even in loss sometimes. I mean, watch this. Your life has value whether you're alive and earning money while you're awake and creating wealth while you're asleep. And when you die, your life has monetary value if you have life insurance. Right now, if I pass away, my wife has $1.75 million. You know what that does? That pays off this house free and clear. That wipes up any debt we have. And she still has like $900,000 to live off of. And she's a homemaker. And so you know what? I told her what you're going to do. And the plan is this. $800,000, at least $700,000 goes to a mutual fund. And it's going to gain about 10% a year. And we already ran the calculator on this, right? You're never going to touch that money, right? You're going to have no bills except utilities. And those are going to be very minimal. You're not partying like a rock star. You're not spending like crazy. Now, this is set up. And now if she blows it, that's on her. But the security is there, right? 700,000 goes to a mutual fund. It's money making more money. That's all it's for. You're not going to keep $100,000 in your checking account because you're going to spend it. So you'll do, I would leave the whole portfolio tied up in the stocks it's in. You don't have to worry about managing and buying more. Just let it run up if you want to. Take 80 grand and make sure you put that in like a high yield savings or something like that. So it outpaces inflation. You keep 20,000. They put 10 in savings, keep 10 in your checking. You shouldn't be spending money like that anyway. You're financially free. Don't go buy no new cars. You already got a home. There you go. See that? And that's what financial freedom looks like. And that's your life having value even after death. But yeah, I love that you said that. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and bring this one to a close. Thank you for being on here today. This was almost a 2-hour show, but I'm glad people got some value out of it. Next week, Saturday, I'm going to hope to have the Blacksmith that's going to teach the financial class about how to use credit cards and the best ones to have. We'll see. I'm not going to promise it, though, because I don't know other people's schedules like that, but we're going to try and link that up if we can. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't. I'm the Blacksmith Podcast on every platform you can think of. Actually, Curtis told me like 2 I hadn't heard of today, so maybe 3. So I'm going to go get those before somebody try and scalp those. But next time, bring a friend. Bring a friend to the live. If you know anybody this can help, I don't care if it's auntie, uncle, nene, and them, son, bring them all. because I see people on Discord playing Call of Duty and stuff. Forget that. Get them on call of financial literacy, because there's a call of financial literacy. And if you don't answer it, guess what? You work until you die. No one wants that. But thank y'all for being here, and I will see y'all next time.